picture goal is we want to have better, safer streets, and we want to improve violence issues within our streets and within our Dayton and broader community. Specifically here today, we're going to talk about issues around improving relationships between the police and the community, okay?
Today was called Speak, Be Heard, Be Considered, and it's the first of one series. We wanted to use this as a kickoff. We're going to have 5 different locations for community study circles that are going to start between May 14th and end around June 23rd. It's going to happen every 2 weeks. They're at Northwest Community Rec Center, Lower Rec Center, Twin Towers Place, which is for senior residents only, and then we have one at the Potter's House, and then the last one, I can't think off the top of my head, is Lower Northwest Rec Center, Potter House, Twin Towers Place, and the YWCA is where the 5th one is going to be, and it's going to be the same, basically same format where people can come together and talk. The importance of study circles is that it's a series, so you don't just come to one and finish there. You start off with today, and then you participate in the other 3, so that the dialogue continues, and so that it continues to move towards healing, and then toward creating solutions and partnerships.
Right. So this is something that's going to it's going to have to be ongoing and long term.
Yes, it's long term. It's something we're trying to make sustainable. That's why we're trying to get input from a lot of different people, from the law enforcement, from the community, from the faith-based community, from all different parts of the communities, to help each other understand one another, and then to help them work together and create partnerships.
First, Chris, what brought you down here today?
I am the community engagement officer for the City of Dayton Police Department.
Okay, all right. And how do you guys just got out of some of the break-off sessions? How do you think that went so far?
I actually think it went well. We had differing opinions in some of the conversations, but I think the overall gist or crux of the conversation was that I think that we need to bridge the disconnect or bridge the gap between the police and the community. And one of the recommendations was to start with more community policing. There needs to be an active role, not only on the police ends, but also on the community's ends. The onus is on all of us to help resolve some of these issues that we're having.
I noticed that a lot of the group were rather older folks in the community, older community leaders. Didn't see as many 20-somethings and 30-somethings. That's kind of a problem when these are the future community leaders and people of the community. How can you reach those people to come to things like this to talk about?
I actually agree with that, and I would like to echo your sentiments about that. The crowd here was a little bit older than I expected. However, I think there needs to be more marketing, more active outreach, promotion. We need to go out to the schools. We need to go out to the youth groups because, as it was said, in our earlier meeting when we convened earlier, is that we need to market to the generation after us. We need to reach out because they are the future, and we need to do more preventative initiatives as opposed to intervention.
Forget who it was suggested, not McCrory.
One of the reverends.
Tommy Owens.
Yes, well, he's not a reverend. But.
Okay, I'm sorry. Suggested having this meeting in like DeSoto Bass or in a place or a community that's kind of in crisis. And obviously that didn't happen. But what do you think about going into places like that and bringing yourselves to the communities to talk to people?
Well, I think they are doing it. This is just the big venue to hold an event like this, but then at each breakout session they gave us dates, and they're happening east side, west side, and central, so they are going into the neighborhoods to further these conversations, further these ideas, and start some initiatives citywide, but they're going to do it from the neighborhood levels.
And I actually think that's a fantastic idea because part of the problem is the negative perception that we have in the community about police, and the people that you actually want to target to convene conversations, to have conversations like this, will not feel comfortable coming in a venue like this because they already have, negative perceptions about what's going on. So, again, the onus will be on us to reach out to them, make them feel comfortable voicing their concerns and frustrations. And so I actually think that's a good idea.
All right, great. Do you guys have?
Now, some of you guys started out today with the prayers. We've seen studies that show about 30% of the population is really non-religious or identifies as irreligious. How can we make everyone feel welcome and make this, it's not a religious thing, it's a community thing.
And a social justice thing.
Beyond, I think a lot of people identify a lot of, some of the civil rights issues in a religious realm instead of these are issues for everybody, regardless of what you believe.
I think, I don't have the same religion that a lot of the people in the room have, so I think we're accomplishing that. We're never going to be able to get everybody to do the same thing on the same Saturday in April at the same time. So that's just not possible. But we are very inclusive, not exclusive. So this initiative, along with the police department, we don't care. We're all part of the community. The police is part of the community, the media is part of the community, and the citizens are part of the community. I don't care what you believe in or what you do on Sundays. I want to know that you got my back. If I'm out of town, you're watching my house for me, or vice versa, things like that. And we got that partnership more so than what you believe.
And I think, it's venues like this. We have to put the message out there that we're more alike than not. You might see a police with the hat on, but he's also a human being. He's also a father, maybe. He's also,
a member of a community.
Yeah. And so, again, we have to have that understanding that we have more similarities than we do differences, and how can we embrace them?
Anything else you'd like to add about this?
I think it was a great event, and I look forward to the follow-up meeting so we can actually sit down and talk about implementation, because unless you have follow-up, events like this
tend to be a one-day cheerleading.
Right. So
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks. What made you come out here today and really brought your interest? And what do you think the biggest problem is with the underlying problem of police-community relations?
I think the underlying issue would be lack of trust. And I'm out here as a citizen to see what I can do to help improve the situation, how to be the answer to the problems, and how to develop the relationships with other citizens and with the police to see how we can kind of tackle these problems. I'm not really sure. I know there's a lack of trust, and I really don't know how to address it other than just getting to know each other. Because sometimes if you see as a police versus a citizen, then you have your guards up. But if you know them as a human being, you know them as a person, then it creates a level of trust and a level of understanding. So kind of see how I can help increase that, help improve communication amongst the whole community.
How do you think we get more young people who need to be at these things to come out? Yeah, I know they're going to be out in different neighborhoods in the community during the summer, and this is kind of a kickoff. But is there anything you think the city could really do more to engage young people and being more civic? Because we're going to have to take charge of the city soon.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think part of it is seeing that we are the community, and it's not looking to others, but it's really understanding that, we have the power within ourselves to help make a change and make a difference and be part of the solution. And even just the fact of community ownership, it's like a lot of times we just kind of just think that the community is separate from us, but it's one and the same. And so how we can develop the relationship with our neighbors, how we can be the model and really just help change the dynamic by the way we relate amongst one another. But really, I think that sometimes people, they feel discouraged and they feel that they can't make a difference, but knowing that everybody has the power to make a difference, and change somebody's lives.
What do you think policy-wise? We can all get to know each other and have a beer together, but policy-wise, what do you think could make a big difference as far as bringing people together, or a policy that maybe causes problems to begin with?
I think looking at the issues of restorative justice, and how if I've harmed you, not only have I broken that part of the web, but there's a whole other web that she's been affected, everybody else has been affected as well. You know what I mean? And so how to really look at that. And one thing that kind of, I think we know that the justice system as it's working right now does not work. They're calling it the new Jim Crow and all these type of things. Yeah. But I think the police they aren't the answer as far as they don't make the laws, but they see the problems from working within the system. So I think, creating an advocacy with the police and with the community members to address how the laws are written and how they're enforced, that's causing these problems.
And the police do have the ability to selectively enforce laws.
True.
Depending upon what they decide
is
a greater, harm or threat to the community.
Exactly.
They can ignore jaywalking in lieu of something else.
Right, 100%.
And had police tell me that. And
they got discretion. Yeah.
Yes, you can't enforce every the thousands of laws all at once. Going forward, do you really like to see in Dayton or any policy? Do you think this is something that I've always thought that the war on drugs is an underlying problem that enables a lot of this adversarialism in society. And we got people getting loaded on all kinds of, it's like the old Dave Chappelle skit, drugs is drugs. Is that like an underlying or root cause of a lot of the
and did you
problems
hear
in
your
Ohio,
session,
or in the nation, I should say?
Did you hear any of the officers or city people talking about that?
The issue
war
of
on
drugs? No, you know what? That didn't get brought up at all in either of our. No, through the whole session, it didn't get brought up. But yeah, I do think that is an underlying issue, and I think a lot of it. Like, I'm big on communication and I'm big on creating connections, because I think when you create connections and you focus on possibilities instead of problem solving, then you can create that collective force to sustain movement for the long run. Because a lot of times we're not building the trust. So even like even forums like this, we're coming together, but if we're not really developing those strong relationships, then 2 weeks from now, everybody's going to be dispersed. You know what I mean? So how do you develop that core and be able to maintain that core, to be able to walk this thing out step by step, block by block, relationship by relationship. But I really do feel, really drugs really is an underlying issue, and I don't know the answer to it, because a lot of people are selling drugs because of just economic situations, and so...
We've had guys tell us, like, we've actually interviewed some people who said, I don't want to be doing this.
Right.
You think I want to be doing this?
Right.
Crazy.
Right.
Nobody
Exactly.
would want to be doing this.
Exactly. And so it's a holistic approach, like education, providing opportunities. When people get out of jail, all of a sudden now they can't get a job, and so you're expecting them to succeed be readjusted and succeed in society, but then you're hindering them from getting a job, and then so what do you expect? You're almost pushing them back into that.
Days we had officers that were part of the community. They weren't coming in from, say, Kettering to patrol a city of Dayton neighborhood. So was there any talk about going back to that way?
We brought it up in a sense, we talked about the importance of the police coming from the community, and even attending events like neighborhood watch meetings. Not neighborhood watch, but neighborhood leadership meetings and things like that, to really be more ingrained within the community that they're involved in. But I got brought up a couple of different times, the role that they gotta if they live where they're at, they have more. Not only do they have more of a kind of accountability as far as they have a vested interest because they live there, but then at the same time, the children, when they're growing up, they're going to see them in a different capacity. They might see them shooting hoops in the backyard or something like that. So it's new ways to develop relationships. So that definitely got brought up.
Well, I guess you always have the chance of being viewed as an occupying force if you're not from wherever you're at, and not a part of that community.
Right, 100%.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, no, thank you for your work you're doing, though. This is great.
Thank you
very much for your time.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
We had very good discussions. And these are our only 2 points. Strengthen the priority board by police relationship with the community and by allowing the folks to be involved in the community. That was our first concern. Our last one is that we need a better way to report crime without fear of going to jail, without retaliation by police, without retaliation by the community, and warrants that I may not know I have. Thank you.
We felt it was critically important to be more active and have more community policing, which is going to build trust between the police and the community at large. And we, number one, were encouraged by sessions like this, but we also acknowledge that it's not just the police, but it's the community that has to take responsibility in this. Some of the things that we talked about quickly include having police show up at events in our community and even perhaps volunteer, and they're not there just to be in control. Number 2 is just to focus on the ride-along that will build trust and the relationships, and to bring back the academy, Citizens Academy, that we were involved in some years ago. And then the last thing that I want to highlight is the recruitment efforts. We definitely feel that having officers reflect the communities they serve will begin to enhance the trust and relationships in our community.
The second thing that we focused on was positivity. We want to have the media, the community, the citizens, the police department all focus on what's right with our community, how to cultivate what's right with our community, and bring that to the places that aren't as positive. So focus on positivity.
We should show more interest other than just cars. They should come through, have block parties, do like when I was growing up, bring police, cars, fire trucks, all that to the community and let the kids see how it is to be beside a police officer or fire person instead of behind in the back of the cop car. Or the community should step up and take action. The community should speak out before the police even have to act. It's our community, not theirs. And three, we got to show them respect, but they got to give us respect also. Don't just give it. They got to earn it just like anybody else.
Everybody talks about respect. Everyone talks about, you want them to talk to you a certain way. You want them to act a certain way. They want us to behave a certain way and speak to them a certain way also, but we're all humans. And there's a customer service aspect to this job that I think no one's really taken into consideration. So if the police become a little bit more patient, a little bit more tolerant of the customer that they're dealing with, and we understand too that we're also dealing with someone that's overworked, someone that's very, very stressed out, someone that has to deal with violence and crime and things all day. Those are very, very stressful situations to be involved in. If we can be all a little bit more patient with each other, maybe we can have some community really, really being formed. But also, there's a lot of budgetary constraints on the police offices now. I mean, in our community, we can't expect people to come out and do all these fantastic things in the community. They have to police people. They have to lock up criminals. They have to find out who killed who raped who did whatever. So we can't expect that they're going to come out and just glad hand all the time. We have to understand that there aren't as many police on the streets as there are human people. I mean, or people that live out here. We have to understand it's like 1 to 20, if that, So just like in a classroom, we don't have enough teachers in a classroom, but we have students that outnumber the teachers. It's just the same way with the police. So if we can just be very, very patient when dealing with other human beings, I think that might bring a little bit of the stress down for everybody. That's my take on it.
I'm actually the acting executive director for the City of Dayton Human Relations Council, and we're providing the staff support to this event. So our office, along with the Community Initiative to Reduce Gun Violence and the United Way, helped to coordinate the event. But the Community Police Relations event is housed, or activity is housed at our office.
Okay. And so you guys just came out of the breakout sessions. How do you feel the meeting has gone so far? I know you're about to go back in to do some final discussion, but how do you think that how do you think it's going so far?
I think so far it's going great. A lot of interesting dialogue. I think that the groups are diverse and mixed. We had officers in groups, we had community folks, we had elected officials, and I think that's the mix that we needed. We needed people to be able to talk from all perspectives and to help each other kind of come to an agreement about what solutions we need to have in place.
Are some of the main reasons people are citing for they think, obviously we're having this meeting today, if someone said there's a problem here, let's address it. What are some of the main top issues people are saying?
I think
this is why we've got this issue to deal with.
I think communication is one that's coming up. I think the other is mutual respect. Respect for the police having respect for the individuals that they're interacting with. Those are probably the top two. One is and I think respect is probably number one because people feel disrespected if you talk to them or communicate to them in a way that's not the way that they are trying to communicate back, and understanding that when people are upset or when you're in a crisis situation, that sometimes there may be escalated communication or the communication may not be the best, but trying to help understand what both parties are trying to.
How can we reach out to
that's what I was going to say.
People who aren't here today? I mean,
and the younger,
especially there's a younger generation that's going to have to take responsibility of all these things pretty soon. How can we get more young people, like a room packed with young people,
interested in helping the community and supporting it?
Well, first of all, we'll keep the community up to date on what's happening at DaytonOhio.gov/Speak Heard Considered. Folks can call the Human Relations Council at 937-333-1403. We also have a young adult community police relations team, which is targeting young adults between the ages of 18 to 34. And so we work with about 10 young adults that are helping us figure out how do we get to that target population, because what we found in the City of Dayton's public opinion survey is that 18 to 34 are the ones that are most dissatisfied with community police relations. So we know we need to have a targeted effort at that demographic. So we have a group of young people that are really helping us do that. 1029, they said, if we need anything put out to get to that demographic, they would be willing to help us. And so really just, anybody that wants to be involved, call the Human Relations Council. If you want to tweet about your concerns, if you want to, talk about what happened today or talk about things that need to be addressed in the future, use hashtag speak, heard, considered, and that way we can follow the information.
Now, what if someone says, okay, this is great today, but I think all these major problems are rooted in policies that are coming from Washington, say like, the 70-year-old war on drugs. We can't do anything about that until Washington, and then there's people who disagree about that, obviously, in the community. Is this a place for people to raise those kind of concerns, or?
Well, obviously, it's local government, and we're at the local level, so we can only really control what's happening locally. That was some of the things that came out in some of the focus groups too. As I walked past, we can do the best we can to communicate back to our legislators what some of those issues are and how they may be adversely impacting our community, and then hopefully, if changes need to be made, we could be supportive and advocating on that behalf. But the biggest thing is we're trying to change our local community.
Just
where we have the biggest
relationships.
impact, and that's the relationship.